Today I'll be sharing 3 tips for autumn and woodland photography. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Glynn Hodson. I'm an outdoor photographer from Manchester and I recently had the chance to dive into some autumn and woodland photography up at Rivington Pike. Now I haven't really done much woodland photography before and this was a really good challenge for me. As it's also autumn, I really wanted to just get out, see the amazing colours and try a bit of woodland photography. So here are 3 things that I learned on my day out yesterday. The first thing I want to talk about is light. As you all can imagine and probably have seen, woodland photography gets really tricky when it comes to light because you've got dense trees, scattered light, really hard shadows that can totally change the mood of your shot. Sometimes you get some amazing lighting conditions where the sun is shining through the trees, casting this beam of light pretty much. But that also depends on the time of day you are shooting. Sometimes there might not even be light. It might be an overcast day and the light will be pretty flat sometimes. And going back to the beams of light, these lights can be pretty intense. Or you might find yourself shooting in deep shade. I was really lucky when it came to sunlight yesterday, just because it was a nice sunny day. The sun was shining through the leaves and the branches and casting these amazing little shadows and patterns on the ground. And it was also lighting up the colours of the autumn leaves and the grass and the birch and the branches, and it casted amazing oranges from obviously the autumn leaves. So I would say the best time to shoot woodland photography is probably either in the early mornings when you get the mist and you get the beams of light coming from the sunrise, or around late afternoon, mid-afternoon, not on a cloudy day, on a nice sunny day with a little bit of clouds here and there. You don't want it overexposed, or you don't want this harsh light that's beaming through, or shining onto a subject that's just ruining the whole scene, because the light in the UK is very unpredictable. Another thing to keep in mind is how shadows play a really big role in your composition. Obviously a woodland setting, shadows can be dominant, but I would say you can use them creatively, to create depth of field, leading lines. You can even use them as a subject. So I would say it's all about knowing when to embrace the shadows and when to avoid them. The second thing I learned yesterday is all about composition. When you're in a woodland environment, there's so much going on. You got trees poking out, you got branches, you got leaves, you got paths, you got steps, and obviously it can feel really overwhelming. I did yesterday. I didn't know where to put my camera, I didn't know where to look, I didn't want to get hit in the face with a tree, I didn't want to drop my camera. It was just so overwhelming and it was crazy. But I slowed down, I took a breath, I took a step back as well, and evaluated the situation that I was looking at, the scene that I was looking at. And the trick is to simplify the shot, even though that sounds easier said than done, and try and find a clear subject within the chaos, if you know what I mean. A tree, a leaf. I say a tree, there's millions of trees in a woodland, so just try and figure out the one that sticks out to you and try and figure that out within your composition, if you know what I mean. If that makes any sense at all. Yesterday, I was just trying to find paths or natural leading lines to help the viewer and myself figure out what was going on within the photograph. Sometimes it was way branches formed, how shadows were created, the leaves on the floor, or the light shining through the trees. And I narrowed down what my eye was focused on and tried to eliminate other stuff that was not the subject that I was drawn to. And that really helps when it comes to, your post-processing and your editing. Obviously put a vignette, and there's loads of editing techniques that help you or the viewer guide their eye to the subject, if you understand where I'm coming from with the editing side of taking photographs. Like sometimes when I go take photographs and there isn't much of a subject, or there isn't much going on within the photograph, I always try and figure out how I can boost it in the edit and how it can come alive by boosting shadows, contrast, colours, etc. It's all about finding those little moments in your scene and then finding your composition around that. So just a little add-on, you got leading lines, natural frames, or even just focusing on a little leaf to understand that woodland setting and environment. It's about narrowing down what you want to highlight and eliminating distractions. Cheers, by the way. This is a coffee, my first coffee of the day, and it's cold already. And lastly, I just want to talk about colour grading. Obviously, when you think of autumn, you think about vibrant colours, the reds, the oranges, the yellows, even the greens. Obviously, in a woodland environment, these colours might not pop as much as in camera. So what I found useful was obviously enhancing these within Lightroom. But the photos that I've been sharing throughout the video have been edited manually, which means I have used no presets. I have edited each slider, each curve, each hue, each saturation, each, you know, highlights, everything. I've temperature, tints, I have edited myself, and I'm pretty happy with how the edited versions have came out. I know a lot of people don't like going over the top with editing their photographs, but I really enjoy the process, and I think it really does boost that autumn look. And yeah, I just played around with contrast, you know, the shadows, the clarity, the textures, because wood has texture. It's not soft, is it? So yeah, I was just playing around with textures, obviously linear gradients and radial gradients, just to try and lead the eye to the subject. But I must say, when I went to Rivington, there was a lot of green still within the bushes, the trees and the ground, so it was really hard to try and make it look autumny, if you know what I mean, within the edit. But I think we got there. I think we got some really nice edits. Let me know in the comments if you like the edits or if I've overdone it too much. I will show the befores and after at the end of the video, just so you know what the original shot looked like, and then obviously my edited version. And a lot of you might prefer the raw photos, and a lot of you might prefer the edited photos, but that's photography for you. It's very subjective. I really love doing the editing side of things, and I also love doing the technical side of photography. So, but if you think I've overdone it in the edit, obviously let me know in the comments, and I love to hear feedback, obviously. And I might just add on that adjusting colour grading can also help by if the image looks flat, if the lighting's not right, you can obviously bring it to life within the edit, add a bit of colour, add a bit of exposure, sort the shadows out, you know. So yeah, I don't want to really start a massive debate in the comments, because I hate debating and I hate arguing. So yeah, I think they're the 3 tips that or challenges that I learned yesterday when I went on a photo walk. Obviously, composition being the hardest, trying to figure out the best way to put together a busy environment, or finding subjects within the messiness and trying to make an image look good, pretty much. That was a challenge. So yeah, understanding light, composition and colour grading, I would say there are 3 tips that I would say to try and get the best autumn look and feel within your woodland photography. If you are interested in visiting the location that I went to, I'll put a link in the description. There's a cafe like halfway up the mountain hill, if you want to call it, but it's open Wednesday to Saturday, I think, and I was well gutted because I got there, because I went on Monday, it was closed, and I was like, alright. So yeah, Rivington Pike, if you want to go, there's woodlands, there's gardens, there's lakes and stuff like that. And there's a reservoir, so if you fancy going take some photographs or just a day out, I'll put a link in the description. And I want to know if you have ever tried woodland photography before. I'd love to hear your experiences or any tips that you would love to share in the comments below. And hopefully you found these tips useful. I think I was just explaining my thought process and what happened yesterday, if that makes any sense. So I don't know if there's any tips in there, it's just what I thought and what I think could help others and myself in the future. If you did enjoy last week's video where I went to RHS Bridgewater, or you like that style of video where it's a more of a vlogging style with some cinematic b-roll and not a talking head like this, then definitely comment down below. I would definitely love to do more that style video, if that makes sense. Obviously it's getting over the fear of recording in public, so yeah, that's one thing I need to do, is get out of my comfort zone. There's a quote actually by an artist, and it goes like this: the comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing grows there. I'm going to end the video on that one. That was from Dave Howarth on Instagram, and I've got his print actually, which I need to put a frame. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I put the link to last week's video in the description if you want to go check it out. It was a garden photo walk, which was pretty cool. So yeah, peace out. Thanks very much for watching again, and ciao for now.